Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from, everybody. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth. We're going to get started with today's live stream in about a minute or so. We'll give it a few minutes for people to join us, and we'll get started with today's live stream. Going to go over the Hexo and Tilray vote, which the deadline is coming up here in a couple of days, so I encourage everybody to go and vote for that. The recommendation is that we vote for, and highly doubt that there's going to be really anyone voting against it, but just sit tight and we'll get started with today's live stream momentarily. I see we have some people joining. Welcome to the stream. We're going to get started here in about 30 seconds. All right, welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, everybody. It is Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. It's June 8th. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth. Going to get started with today's live stream. Going to be discussing the stock Hexo Corp. Going to be discussing Tilray Brands, the deal that's coming up. We have the vote for the deadline coming up in just 2 days. Essentially, you got to get it in by the end of day tomorrow. Before we get to it, though, make sure to smash the like. Help support me in the channel. I would appreciate it very much. I do my best to provide you guys with as much valuable information. I take a lot of time out of my days, and my evenings pretty much go directly to coming on and doing these live streams. I absolutely love doing it, but would appreciate it if you could just do me a favor, smash the like. You can subscribe. If you're new here, tick the bell, and you'll be notified on any future updates. Diving right into today's live stream, if you go to Hexo and just click on CDR filing, it'll bring up the company profile here on CDR, and you can see the form of Proxy English, which you click on that, it'll bring up this page here. So you can see here that the deadline is June 10th, 2022 at 4 p.m. EDT. It said whenever I actually went on to do the voting that, and I have 3 separate accounts with Hexo in it, so I had to go on and I got 3 different control numbers. So if you have multiple accounts, I, for one, have Hexo in my RSP. I have it in a TFSA, which is a long-term no-touch, and then I also have it in a cash account as well. So if you have it in multiple accounts, if you have multiple different account numbers, you're going to get multiple different control numbers as well. So if you do have multiple accounts, expect to have multiple control numbers, and you have to go on and vote for each one, okay? But it did say when I was on there that the deadline was June 9th, I think at like midnight. I would just encourage you to do it today or tomorrow if you know anybody that hasn't done it yet, or if you know anybody that may not be aware of this deadline. I encourage you to share this video with anybody that may find value. But essentially, there's 2 things to vote for. It's the standby commitment and the with Chaos Capital and the backstop, 180 million backstop, and then the cash, the debt deal with Tilray purchasing the convertible notes, right? So I voted for. That is the recommendation. I'm not telling you to vote for or against. I would encourage you that you vote for because that's what the company is doing. I'm not telling you what to do. This isn't financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. I'm just telling you what I did, and I voted for on both aspects. But essentially what you're going to get in the mail or online, it depends on how you have your preferences set up, right? So I sent out a tweet. I said, reminder, the deadline for the vote for the Tilray HEXO deal is tomorrow at midnight before June 10th. And again, I saw conflicting information there. I just encourage you to do it ASAP so that you can get your vote in. You should have received a form like this either in the mail or electronically, depending on your preferences. Simply scan the QR code and follow the prompts. I voted for on both aspects. So this right here, where my mouse is, that was a QR code. Obviously, I've redacted some of this information, but essentially you'll have a QR code there. I went to the Proxy website and then put in the control number. It didn't work. So I physically had to scan the QR code on my phone in order for it to come up, and I didn't even have to enter in the control number. It just automatically pre-populated everything. So as soon as I scanned the QR code, it took me to my Questrade instance. If I scanned the other one from RBC, it took me, and it even said it was RBC that I was with. So essentially you just scan that QR code, super easy to get this done. For all 3, it only took me like 2 minutes. So, you know, you can't use the excuse of time, right? Didn't have the time, it only takes 2 minutes. I highly encourage everybody to go do that now. Let me know in the comments, guys. I see there's quite a few people joining us. So if you're just joining us, welcome to the stream. If you could smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. And let me know in the comments below if you voted. If you haven't voted yet, I'm curious to see how many people actually have voted. And let me know what your vote was, if it was for or against. If you don't feel comfortable sharing that information, that's fine too. But like I said, I voted for on both aspects, and that is what the company recommends as well. I highly doubt there's going to be anybody really vote against. I would say it's probably going to be in the 95 plus percentile in accordance for the vote, right? But again, let me know in the comments if you've voted already and what you think is the best option. Obviously, I think for is pretty much unanimous. Also, something I wanted to highlight as well is we had this article from La Journal de Montréal. This was back on the 28th of April. So they said in the coming weeks, it said it was Molson Coors caliber. Mr. Chiara, Vincent Chiara, who's on the board, he said that, confided that this player will be of Molson Coors caliber. And let's just see here. Partnership. Yeah, where does it say here? It'll be released in the coming weeks. Let's just, coming weeks. There we go. To attack this market, Hexo plans to sign a new partnership with a company whose name will be revealed in the coming weeks. This will be 6 weeks tomorrow since this article came out. And then it says, Hexo company wants to gain weight from the pot. Yeah, anyway, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to say that word because YouTube algorithm hates it whenever it's still federally illegal in the US, right? YouTube's in the US, so it hates when I use words that are illegal at the federal level. Management hopes to sell its first products to the Quebec SQDC by the end of summer. And it mentions their partnership with Molson Coors. And something I want to reiterate is so many people are just getting investor fatigue. They're getting impatient. And they're saying, why isn't Hexo releasing the CPG partner? Like, come on already, right? But first of all, Hexo's under NDA, non-disclosure agreement. They can't release who the CPG partner is. I bet you they want to release it just as bad as we do. But it's the CPG partner that has to do a press release. Hexo can't mention anything until the CPG partner does a press release. And just think about when we found out Molson Coors and Hexo partnered. They partnered in like 2018, and we didn't actually have products on the market until like late 2020 or like 2021 is when it really started to pump out. So you got to think it took 2 to 3 years for Hexo and Molson Coors to announce their partnership and get everything in line and distribution and branding and everything like that. So the fact that we just found out about a year and a half ago that Hexo had a CPG partner in the edibles, they said here it's going to be more than granola bars and cookies, it's other food products as well. So if they're creating more than granola bars and cookies and, you know, I think it's Kellogg's, maybe cereals and things like that, the fact that they're going to sell their first product to the SQDC by the end of the summer in about a year and a half to 2 years, when we know Molson Coors took 2 to 3 years, I think they're doing a pretty good job. So I think everybody just needs to kind of chill out, pump the brakes a little bit, and just realize that, you know, this is stuff that takes a little while to sort out. And if it is Kellogg's, like I suspect it is, we know that they went through a strike as well for a couple of months. And that likely, set things a lot, set them back a little bit. But we know that Tilray also just sold its first product, edible product, to the SQDC, the first to do so in its kind. And we had a POW group member, you know who you are, shout out to you. He contacted the SQDC and asked when they expect more edibles to come into Quebec. And they said that they expect a lot more to be coming soon. So again, that was on the 28th that they said it would be revealed in the coming weeks. They said that the deal with Tilray was due to close in May, and I think that's why they said in the coming weeks, because they want it to be after the Tilray deal. You know, the market's manipulated, so you got to get Tilray involved first, right? Because we can't have an unmanipulated market. We can't have that, right? The whole market's rigged. I mean, it wouldn't be a market if they didn't manipulate it like they always have done for multiple hundreds of years. So manipulation is always going to be a thing. So we need to be aware of that. And so if they thought the deal was going to close in May, maybe that's why they said in the coming weeks, because they wanted to do it after the Tilray deal. But because the Tilray deal got bumped into June and the meeting is now on the 14th, so Tuesday next week, it's likely that we don't see the CPG partner news released until after that vote, right? Got to get Tilray involved, right? That's just how the markets work. It's pure manipulation, and yeah, it'll continue to be the case, right? And then we have tentative earnings scheduled for June 15th, right after. Again, we don't know yet. That's just what analysts are predicting. We want to see official confirmation from Hexo, which we haven't seen yet. And then if we take a look at the estimates, they're forecasting 52.2 million net. That's Canadian. And the EPS is forecasted at negative 0.045. We know that Hifyre data, unadjusted, said that Hexo sold about 33 million in the month of April alone. And I did another video on that. You can check that out. I came up with a little bit of a prediction there. But I think we're going to have an easy beat. Keep in mind that 33 million didn't factor in excise taxes. So we need to account for that. But I would say that my estimate is about 55 million. That's what I think is going to be the net result of the revenue for this quarter. And the next couple of quarters are just going to be fantastic, right? Because keep in mind, the Readies Plus just launched, which are retailing for $39.99. Huge margins on those, and they're almost 3 times the amount as the normal Readies, like the cost of that pack of those Readies, right? So that's going to be huge profit, huge margins. We're going to see that over the next couple of quarters. We know that they just released 13 new drinks with Trust Beverages. They've got the Readables now, and they're soon going to be entering into the edibles market into Quebec, right? Tons of catalysts coming soon. But yeah, earnings we'll watch for a tentative date. Like I said, June 15th is what we're looking at right now. We should see some form of communication from Hexo, in my opinion, at some point in the next week or two, obviously, because it's coming up next week on when we can expect those earnings. Let me know in the comments below what your prediction is for the revenue estimates. Do you think we're going to beat revenue? What's your revenue forecast there for net revenue coming up for this quarter? Also, Proactive, this is a publisher that published this article here today. U.S. MJ-friendly safe banking legislation will be passed before the midterms, which is due in November. I think it was November 18th. So we should see that. I've been saying for a long time now that I think this time it's different. We know that Amazon and Apple are backing federal legalization. And we know that I would say it's probably 80% chance that this passes now leading into the fall. And we know that New York is coming online. They're expecting recreational sales to commence in the fall. So lots of bullish momentum coming up. One thing I want to highlight here and just remind everybody is that Sundial was granted a 180-day extension to regain NASDAQ compliance with the minimum bid rule. And they have until August 8th now. This could create some headwinds. I don't think SNDL is going to get delisted. I think they're going to reverse split inevitably. But if they do pass safe banking, this could completely revive SNDL, and it could completely revive Hexo as well. We know Hexo has until July 25th to regain compliance, but that was just their first warning. They could get this 180-day extension as well, which would bump it out to January 25th, right? But we know that they already have shareholder approval to do that up to a 14-to-1 reverse split. Doesn't mean they're going to do 14-to-1. They could do an 8. They could do a 4. But more than likely, we're going to see a reverse split in Sundial and Hexo if we don't see safe banking approved until the fall, right? If we see it approved over the next couple of months, then that might be exactly what Sundial needs, specifically Sundial, because they only have a couple of months now, but a month and a half. And if they have to reverse split, and Hexo has to reverse split or Sundial delist, that's going to be bad for the industry, right? That's not what our sector wants right now. That's what none of us want as bulls. And then something we could see after all of that, all of those catalysts that I just mentioned, is we could see Hexo enter the California market. They said they had a special purpose vehicle whereby it wouldn't actually reach Hexo's top line or bottom line. A special purpose vehicle, if you don't know what that is, just Google SPV. And essentially what it would be is Hexo, upon full-blown federal legalization, they would take controlling assets, majority control over those assets. So if they have like a joint venture or something like that, similar to Molson Coors, upon federal legalization, they would assume full control over that special purpose vehicle. So what would likely happen is they partner with somebody in the US. They report it on their financials because they're a US company. And then once it's federally legal in the US, full-blown federal legalization, then Hexo will retain majority ownership in those assets, right? And we know that everything's been delayed, right? The CPG partner's been delayed. The Tilray vote was delayed. And everything that Hexo has said has come true to this point. It's just been delayed, right? People are very impatient. People don't have a very long attention span, right? TikTok, I blame TikTok. It's great, but people's attention spans are like that of a goldfish. I always joke, but it's true, right? You can be scrolling on TikTok and people even have a hard time looking at a 30-second video on TikTok because they're on to the next one, right? Or they get a text message from a friend, and it's so easy to if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, right? And just don't lose sight of the fact that we could see entry into, and they said readies and gel caps into the California market. I think that's going to come after everything that I just mentioned, CPG partner, Tilray deal, earnings, all that stuff. And then they also said they were going to be doing white labeling agreements with MSOs, right? So selling their products under their brand, like Hexo will sell to, say, TrueLeave or GTII. They're into retail. Hexo sells at wholesale to an MSO. They profit from those margins on wholesale, and then the MSO sells at retail, and then they profit on the retail margins, right? So it's a win-win scenario because of how good Hexo's margins are. They can afford to take a 25 to 30% margin wholesale, and then the retailer gets 25 to 30%, right? Which in a CPG business, that's pretty much the norm, right? And I'm pretty sure Hexo gets like 50% margins on their readies, their pre-roll technology. So that is huge. And it's only going to increase, right, as they start to scale and ramp up production, right? But that's something to be watching out for as well. Hexo on the chart, we'll just take a quick look at the chart before we jump into the chat here. But this is now the 5th day in a row with a higher low every single candle. And something that I want to bring up here is Tilray. It is a lower high every single candle for the last 8 trading days. So Tilray, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, unable to break the high of the previous daily candle. And Hexo, the complete opposite. So this is what we want to see as bulls. Not so much if you're a Tilray bull. I own both, full disclosure. Hexo is my biggest MJ position though. But this is good because when we do top out here, we can form a higher low and a higher high. We need to form that higher low and higher high to change the daily trend. We're still in a daily downtrend on Hexo and a lot of our MJ names. But what bulls are hoping for is as big of a bounce as possible. We have next resistance at EMA 26 there at 30 cents, and then up at the price action is at 34 cents. So what bulls want to see is as big of a bounce as possible to allow enough room for a higher low to form. And then what do we know needs to happen after the higher low? We need a higher high. What gives us an uptrend? A high, a higher low, followed by a higher high. What gives us a downtrend? A high, a low, a lower high, and then a lower low, right? So now we need to see bulls confirm that daily uptrend, get us out of this rut that we're in. We need to see not just Hexo, all American, Canadian retailers, ETS change their daily trends. The weekly bounce is underway. And then when we top out on the weekly, we need a weekly higher low and higher high. Then we need to do the monthly, right? So we got a long time to go. So don't think that we're going to explode tomorrow. I mean, if we do, great. We could. Nothing's a guarantee in life. The only guarantee is there are no guarantees. But just be aware that in order to change weekly and monthly downtrends to be confident that the bear market is done and we're entering a new bull market, I think the next time we confirm weekly and monthly uptrends, we're going to see pretty much all MJ companies hit new all-time highs and go into price discovery. It's called blue sky breakout. And I think that's going to be like all MJ, right? Not like we saw in February 2021, a year and a half ago, where just a few names are hitting new all-time highs. I'm talking the whole sector. Micro caps, medium to large caps are all going to be hitting new all-time highs in price discovery. And smash the like and let me know in the comments below if you're excited for that. I can't wait for that day. I'll be doing videos then, and I'll be doing videos in the next bull market. I'll be doing videos in the next bear market. I'll be doing videos in 2 bull markets from now. I'll be doing videos in 3 bear markets from now. You can count on me to be here through the thick and the thin, right? I'm not like most YouTubers where they come on when things are all happy, hunky-dory, and sunshine and rainbows, right? I'm here for you guys more often whenever the market is in turmoil, because that's quite often when people need the support and the reassurance and not advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. But I got your back, right? I'm here through the thick and the thin. I'll always be here. I'm probably going to be making videos for the rest of my entire life. So, and I'm only 32. So, many decades you can count on me to be here and making videos and content for you folks. But like I said, we need monthly and weekly uptrends. What does it take for monthly and weekly uptrends to occur? It takes time, right? Because it's a longer time frame. So what does that mean? It means that we're nowhere near to starting the monthly bounce. That means that we're likely 2 to 3 months, right? We need we need a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. So that means we're likely going to need about 3 to 5 candles to get that high, followed by a higher low and a higher high. So what does that mean? We're looking like 6 months before we confirm monthly uptrends. So again, everybody just needs to chill out. Next week, we're probably not going to go to the moon, right? Even when they release the CPG partner. We need the whole sector, right? We need safe banking, something like that that's going to lift us out of this rut that we're in. And right now, it's a monthly inside bar. On the weekly time frame, we're starting the weekly bounce, which is great to see. And we have no weekly resistance up until about 75 cents, right? And just at the EMAs, you're looking at, let's do a quick measurement here. You're looking at about a 40% move up to 168% move. That would bring us up to our weekly resistance there at 75 cents as well. So again, you're looking at just from current levels to our next resistance on the weekly, that's 175% move. So again, when we see this move, and it's likely going to be something, it's like going to be pre-market. You're going to wake up one day and everything's going to be up 20, 30%. You're going to be like, what the hell happened? Safe banking, right? Safe banking is probably gaining traction more than it already has. And yeah, we're starting to see Hexo kind of stand out from the rest of the pack. Tilray on the weekly time frame is dropping to a weekly lower low. Hexo's bouncing on the weekly, so this is good to see. We want to see Tilray, all systems go, right? We don't want to see Tilray and CGC. I did a video on CGC. I said we could see more downside on this week on the CGC chart because we closed at the low of the week last week. And here we are breaking to a new lower low. This isn't what we want to see. We don't like maximalism. We don't like tribalism. Oh, I told you CGC was going to go down. Like, no, we don't want that to happen. That was the most likely scenario. I told you what the charts were saying, and I was an unbiased. I don't own any CGC, full disclosure. But this isn't what I want to see, right? I told people that CGC was in for a world of hurt for the last couple of years. But so is Hexo. The whole market's down, right? But even the U.S. 70 to 90% across the board. But this doesn't spark me joy seeing CGC. I don't want to be that guy who said I told you so, but I want to see all names bouncing, right? I want all MJ to do well, right? And it's just like Tilray said, bankruptcy in this industry is not good for anybody. And I think Neptune is getting out of the MJ space. What have I been saying for many, many months now? A lot of smaller companies are going to go bankrupt, and they're just not going to be, or they're going to focus on another area, or they're just going to, pivot, and they're not going to be able to keep up. We don't need 800 licensed producers in Canada. It's just not sustainable, and we're going to see a lot of these tier ones start to gain back some of that market share. What else do we want to see here? Let's do a quick peek at the movers and shakers today. Hexo led the bull list yesterday, not so much today. We've got Decibel, PCLO, XTRX, and then Hexo leading the bull list. On the bear list, we've got PWR, Fire and Flower, and ACB. Fire and Flower just released their earnings, close to starting weekly consolidation, but lots of room for a higher low here on the weekly time frame. So we do have the setup here for weekly trend changes across the space. If we take a look at the American side, who do we have for movers and shakers today? On the bear list, we had TAUG, BMMJ, and CXXI. On the bull list, we had TAT, NBEV, and BioHarvest. I think that's BioHarvest. Yeah. But Hexo on the weekly time frame, and after we look at this, we'll look at the chat here. We do have the 10-week moving average there at 36 cents. So like I said, watch that 30-cent area, and then we're going to see 36 cents as the next area of important resistance. We're still bullish on the MACD. We had a bull cross here back in October, November, and we're still bullish, right? That's saying something. Usually when we see the MACD bull cross, when the black is above the red, that's perceived as bullish. And the fact that it's been just trending higher tells us that we're likely seeing heavy accumulation from smart money, which is just financial institutions and market makers, things like that, hedge funds. And that would make sense, right? If everybody and their dog is bearish on MJ in the retail space, or retail investors, well, who's left to buy at these levels, right? Hexo isn't going anywhere. Once we see this Tilray deal close and we get confirmation that it's closed, I'm probably going to add 5 to 10% of my position on Hexo. I've been waiting, and again, I'm not trying to sugarcoat things. Like we need that deal to go through, right? And as soon as that deal goes through, Hexo is going to have access to $282 million in cash. Their market cap right now, Yahoo Finance. Hexo's market cap right now in Canadian dollars. Remember, they're going to have access to $282 million. Their market cap's $151 million. Their annual sales is eclipsing $200 million. So that's just opportunity, right? And again, looking at adding about 5 to 10% because this is extremely important that deal goes through. If we take a look at the weekly moving averages, though, with the most nearby average here on the weekly is the 50 weekly at $1.47. So like I said, lots of short squeezes are likely going to ensue if we get any kind of safe banking movement. And I do think safe banking is going to pass first because, again, the market's manipulated. We can't have an unmanipulated market, right? We got to get the banks and financial institutions positioned first before they full-blown legalize at the federal level, right? So I think safe banking is going to happen at some point between now and midterm elections into November, into the fall, and then some point in 2023 once crypto and tech stocks top out and enter a bear market and a prolonged bear market, likely going to be a multi-year bear market. We'll see MJ enter a multi-year bull market. And then we'll likely see at some point in 2023, 2024, full-blown legalization take full effect. Keep in mind, New York recreational sales go live into the fall of this year as well. So imagine safe banking and New York rec sales go live. Oh man, like there's so many things. Like we know Monster's mulling it over. They want to get into the space. Mary Jones Soda with Jones Soda is launching soon. We know that Coca-Cola is looking into the space, and if things start to, safe banking gets passed, and this, stigma and this, all this negative publicity, and then we get all this reassurance from a regulatory standpoint, we could start to see the dominoes fall and companies start to get into the space. We know Monster, Rockstar Energy, Pepsi trialed Rockstar Hemp in Germany. We know Germany's set to come online soon and legalize, and multiple other countries. I think actually Ukraine is in the midst of working on medical legalization. There was an article here in the Powell Group private. Let me just bring it up here real quick. It's the Powell Group private community that we have. Ukraine to legalize medical, MJ, health minister says. And what else did they legalize, if you recall? Bitcoin. They're like legalizing crypto. They're in the midst of a war, and they're legalizing crypto and MJ. It's like, what a weird time we live in. We know that the U.S. has been reluctant to approve anything or see if they haven't even said anything about since they won the Senate, majority Senate. That was how they won the Senate was, we were going to promise MJ legalization and decriminalization and expungement and all this stuff. And they haven't said a lick, not even a word. Like, it's frustrating. And then they said that they didn't want to focus on it until after C-19. And here is Ukraine dealing with that crisis, and they're in the midst of a war, and they're legalizing MJ and crypto. It's a little bit mind-boggling, to be honest with you. But taking a look here on the daily time frame, we do have the 50-day moving average there at 39 cents as well. So again, that 30-cent area to 40-cent area is going to be strong resistance in my opinion. And again, we know that we need to be skeptical of these bulls until we confirm weekly and monthly uptrends. See, we have quite a few people with us. Thanks again for joining the stream today. And quite a few people commenting. So let's jump into some comments just about at the 30-minute mark. Trying to keep this one a little shorter today. Okay, so I voted yesterday. Very nice. Yeah, I just voted today. And yeah, I highly encourage everybody to get that done. Again, I would just try and get it done today. It only takes 2 minutes. If you have one account and one control number, it'll take you like 30 seconds. Like literally no time at all. If you know how to just take out your phone, put your camera over the QR code, and then a little link will come up, click it. If your phone doesn't work like that, then you can just download a QR code scanner. Haven't received it. My account is with Wealthsimple. Okay. Yeah, if anybody else is with Wealthsimple on the stream and you have received it, maybe let Rashid know. I'm not sure. I don't. Actually, come to think of it, I might have Hexo in my Wealthsimple account as well, and I didn't get it either. So yeah, I think you might be onto something. Maybe we'll have to look into it again. It depends on your preferences. You might have to go like fishing for it in Wealthsimple, but. What you could do is contact Wealthsimple as well. My Wealthsimple account, I bought Hexo like forever ago. I was just kind of playing with Wealthsimple because a lot of people are asking me how it was, and I was like, I don't really know. It's commission free, so that's kind of cool, but they don't have very many options. Like if it's a penny stock or something like that, like Body and Mind, I don't think's on there. But yeah, it's probably I probably only have like a few hundred shares on there, so I'm not really too worried about it. But I would just encourage contacting Wealthsimple, and they can likely tell you what to do there, Rashid. Or if anybody else has figured that out, please let us know. Hexo bottom must likely be in. Yeah, it's it's close. It can always go lower. Personally, I'm gonna load again at 20 cents USD, or I'm waiting until the Tilray deal closes. Once one of two things happens. If we get to 20 cents, I'll add. And then if the Tilray deal closes, I'm going to look to add about 5 to 10% of my Hexo position, add on top of what I already own. Moonshot incoming. Yep, I think so. I think the whole MJ space is going to see a massive move here soon. Rod, you demand. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate it. You're the man too, man. Thanks for joining the stream. Hope all is well. Getting pumped for pumps. Yeah. Anything's better than the last couple of years that we've experienced, right? MJ traders and investors have been, not so much traders, because traders are probably having a field day with the shorting and whatnot. But yeah, it's been rough if you're an MJ investor. And again, this isn't the first time I've seen MJ drop 90%. This isn't the first time I saw anything drop 90%. Netflix dropped 82% there a couple months ago in the matter of months, right? From January to like a month or two ago, it dropped 82%. That was way faster of a drop than MJ, right? And we're talking about Netflix, who's been around for much longer and a much larger market cap. So if Netflix can drop 82% in 6 months, anything can drop 80 to 90% in a very short period of time. Look at Luna, the cryptocurrency, went from $120 to zero in like a matter of days and weeks, right? So it can happen. It can always go lower as well. Tight range on the S&P 500. Yeah, I said that in the private live stream today for Power Group members. I think it's like I can't remember what it was, but a very, very small range. I think like 5-10% that we're trading in. Or sorry, only a couple of percent, sorry, on the S&P. Bitcoin, I think, is like a 10% range. Bear trap. Yeah, you're talking about Hexo? Yeah, it could be a bear trap, yep. I wouldn't really, yeah, it's hard to say. Anything could be a bear trap at this point. Like I said, we could see more downside from here. We know that MJ typically enters a summer lull as well, meaning that activity just drops off, and then usually we start to see individual states and that kind of seasonality pick up into the fall. And we know that the midterms as well, New York coming online. So we got to be honest with ourselves and say, okay, well, it's entirely possible that MJ struggles into the fall. So just be around. I'm okay with either or, right? I'm okay in accumulation mode. If this drags on another 6 months to 12 months even, I'm just going to accumulate. I never invested any more than I was willing to lose. I hedged with an S&P 500 short. I had cash on the side. I own more crypto than I do MJ. I own more real estate than I do crypto, and I have more cash than I do real estate. So, I'm okay accumulating, but my bags are also packed as well. So I'm okay with a moonshot, as it were. Honestly, I think Hexo is going to miss. Yeah, Zacks just downgraded them to a sell, which is a bit odd because like 3 quarters ago they upgraded Hexo to a buy, and they said, oh, their earnings for the next like 2 to 3 quarters are going to be stellar, and then they ended up going down. Hexo's share price ended up going down dramatically. So Hexo, last time Zacks told us to buy Hexo, the share price plummeted. Now they're telling us to sell. Is it going to go up this time? Maybe. And once everybody's on the boat and everybody expects a certain thing, it's usually going to be the opposite, right? But I don't know. They had 33 million in gross sales in April alone, as per Highfire. Again, that's unadjusted, so not factoring in excise taxes. So if it's 33 million and the forecast is 52 million net, then we still got March and February, right? And we know that the Statistics Canada came out with the numbers. So if you take about a 9% market share for those months, I came in with about 55 to 60 million net. So my forecast, I think it's going to be somewhere around that 55 million area net. So I think it should be an easy beat. 52 million they're only forecasting. But we know that it's kind of irrelevant, right? Like the next few quarters are going to be epic because we have the Readies Plus, which still aren't even available. They're only available in the OCS. They sold out in like a matter of days. The new distillate infused ones, the 25%. And they have readables now, which aren't available here in Alberta yet. Like they're only in Ontario, I think, as far as I'm aware. 13 new drinks from Truss. The new CPG partner is going to be coming online. Like we've got they just downsized. They got rid of a bunch of people in marketing. They're downsizing, just like Tesla cut 10% of its workforce. Tons of MJ companies are cutting, even people in the US now, companies in the US, MJ companies in the US are cutting people as well. And we see a bunch of leasebacks and stuff like that to different REITs. So it's not just Hexo, right? And Oxley, Canopy, Aurora closed their flagship facility, Aurora Sky, and another outdoor facility in BC. So factor that in with closing Belleville and, using all, because they didn't need Belleville, right? It's not like Belleville, they didn't close Belleville because they planned for their production capacity. They closed Belleville because they didn't need it anymore, and they had Redican, all their facilities, all the Zenabis facilities. Aurora just closed their flagship facility because they're focusing on medical, and they basically completely pivoted their whole entire business model, right? They wanted to be dominant. They wanted to own the whole recreational market worldwide. Now they're like, oh, we're number one in medical, right? Everybody's always number one in something, it seems, but it's kind of apples to oranges at that point. But yeah, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. They might miss, but again, even if they beat, earnings don't matter right now, because even if they had amazing earnings, let's just say they came in with double their earnings. Yeah, the stock would shoot up, but if the rest of the sector is still bearish, and then SPY and the SP 500 and crypto is still bearish, and we have headwinds from the broader market, it ain't going to matter, right? We need the whole MJ sector to confirm weekly and monthly uptrends, right? And we need something like safe banking because, again, nothing's going to matter. It's just going to be a pump and fade, right? It's just going to be another pump and dump unless the whole market snaps out of it, right? So I'm not really even concerned about this earnings, to be honest with you. It's going to be interesting. I'll be covering it, but I'm more or less focused on safe banking, Tilray deal getting approved, and then the whole sector confirming weekly and monthly uptrends, and then I'll start to be concerned about Hexo's earnings over the next few quarters because there's so much growth that we haven't seen, right? The Reddies Plus, we've got all these new strains. Hexo just released Hexo Reddies, so not just Redican Reddies, they have Ultra Sour and Gelato now in the Hexo ones, which are the Reddies, but they have blue tips and the Hexo logo on them now, and those are going to be, they're not even in the rest of Canada. They're only in Ontario right now. So again, there's so much growth that people don't see past their own nose sometimes. And, that's just human nature, right? So again, it doesn't really matter this quarter at all, in my opinion. But we'll take any kind of good news if we get it. And we could even see the CPG partner released on the earnings call, right? Because if we get the Tilray vote on Tuesday, the 14th, and they might even delay earnings. Right now it's tentative for the 15th, but if they delay it out until they figure out the Tilray deal, maybe we even get the CPG partner released on the earnings call. That's a possibility as well. Slow pump under the radar for a couple of weeks before we'll see a real parabolic run. Yeah, it's possible. Ideally, we break previous resistance on the first move off the lows around that 80-cent range, and that's a good sign of a bottom. Yeah, exactly. And we want to see volume, right? We need to see heavy volume. Usually, volume is 99% of the time. Well, not I would say like 90+% of the time when we see that massive volume and then the capitulation. That's usually when we see capitulation is marked by that very large volume, right? Likely going to be some sort of a record. Look at ACB and Canopy. Both of those LPs are not diversified like Hexo and only deal in MJ products, which is tight competition for more than 800 other LPs just dealing with MJ. Yeah, exactly. And, Hexo's, Canopy's into retail too, right? You got to think, like, Hexo's a way different business model. So Canopy actually owns Tokyo Smoke locations, right? So they actually sell Hexo products in their retail locations. And I actually went to a Tokyo Smoke when I was driving across Canada last summer, and the rep that was in there, the employee, said his favorite products and LP was Hexo. And I'm in a Tokyo Smoke, which is owned by Canopy, so it's kind of ironic, right? But, that's not what Hexo does. Hexo doesn't do retail, right? And they think that's the complete wrong strategy. They want to sell white labeling agreements to MSO retailers, right? They want to be an MJ manufacturing and products company, and that and only that. They do not want to do retail. They do not want to get into like Tilray with alcohol. Tilray has an alcohol branch and division, and they also have a distribution business as well. And then Sundial, for example, is now into alcohol with Alcana, right? They have like hundreds of different alcohol retailers as well now. Plus, they are into MJ retail. So it's just they're completely different business models, right? But I do think Hexo is essentially going to be the biggest use case, and all these CPG partners. Something that we can be expecting as well is another CPG partner. We know that they have one in edibles and foods, and more than cookies and granolas as other food products, which they're going to sell their first product to SQDC by the end of the summer. But they also said that they're looking into cosmetics, right? Partnership with cosmetics. They even mentioned pet foods. So we could even see a couple CPG partners, right? That's something the market isn't prepared for right now. So we need to be aware of that too, right? And Tilray said on one of their calls after the announcement of the Tilray deal with Hexo, Tilray said Hexo is working with in discussions with leading CPG players, not players, right? So again, I'm speculating, but is it unfounded speculation? I don't think so. I think it's quite plausible that we could see that. And think of the short squeeze if we did get multiple strings of back-to-back news, positive news catalysts, right? But great point. Do you expect a run with a sell-off when safe passes, or maybe a steady run from there out? It's hard to say. It could be a buy the rumor, sell the news type thing, or we could see a run up into actual safe banking. That's what I think is the most likely, as we start to, because of how beaten down we are, we start to run up like crazy. And then once they actually uplist, so like once Trulieve and GTII and all these other MSOs actually start trading on the NASDAQ, then they start to sell off, because then people are going to be like, oh, I can finally buy it on the NASDAQ. I'm going to buy it. Retail buys it. And then the market maker starts selling, right? And that's because, or start shorting. And that's because when retail can finally buy, it's like an IPO. If you go to buy a company before it's public, you're probably going to make way more money than when it goes public, right? Or like in the case of Coinbase, for example, when they IPO'd, that you would have made a ton of money, right? You could have got in for like $20 or $30 or $40, and then it IPO'd at $400, right? It got up to like $400 some dollars. Then it dropped down to $40, right? So there's opportunity after the IPO, but generally buying it as it becomes available on that exchange is a bad idea. And usually the money is made on the run up into that. And then same thing happened with Canopy. Same thing happened with all of our LPs when they uplisted to the NASDAQ and the NYSE. They sold off after the uplist, and then they recovered, right? So I think something similar will probably happen with the MSOs. But I own MSOs in my portfolio. I own more LPs than I do MSOs dollar-wise. But I'll be looking to rebalance that after uplisting. After we uplist to the NASDAQ, I'm going to be looking for that dip to buy. And then I'm going to be focusing primarily on the MSOs. But again, you never really know until the time comes. It all depends what LPs, what they have done, right? How much they've run up, things like that. But that's what I would expect. But great question. Would you buy more Hexo right now? I did answer that earlier. I'm not going to buy unless one of two things happens. I'll buy if we get to 20 cents USD, or I'm going to look to add 5 to 10% of my Hexo shares that I own right now. I'm going to add on top of what I already own, 5 to 10%, once the Tilray deal is confirmed that it goes through. Because if it goes through, Hexo has access to $282 million in cash with the backstop equity from Chaos Capital and Adam Arviv. So that means their current market cap is $150 million. They're going to have way more cash than their market cap, and they have more than $150 million in annual sales, right? So once the Tilray deal is good, they're going to be good for multiple years, right? And they're forecasting profitability from operations in the next 4 to 5 quarters, right? So if they're going to be good, if they're going to be staying afloat after the Tilray deal for multiple years, and they're only thinking it's going to take another year for them to reach profitability, well, problem solved, right? Financial woes bygone, right? So that's what I'm doing. Why does a Canadian stock have to rely on U.S. legalization? It doesn't, and it's just another catalyst, right? It's called euphoria. Look what happened to Canadian MJ on the run up into legalization, right? Even the U.S. companies benefited, right? Like things like C-Web and all that stuff, and what else is, there were much lower market caps back then, but I mean, think about it. If the U.S. legalizes, Hexo already sells products in the U.S. That's what people don't understand. They have a partnership with Molson Coors. They have Trust Beverages in Canada, which gets reported on Hexo's financials because they have the license, right? The MJ license. So they reported on their financials. It hits their top and bottom line. But they have another partnership joint venture with Molson Coors called Trust CBD USA. And that is majority owned by Molson Coors. And that gets reported on Molson Coors financials, but it's a private company, so we don't have any insight into that. And they're already selling Veryvel products and CBD in liquor stores, those drinks, and it's derived from hemp. So once it's federally permissible and legal in the US, all they're going to do is just add, they already have the facility in Colorado, right, in Fort Collins, and they're just going to add some THC into it, right? And they already have the distribution in the liquor stores and the brands, right? So they're building the brand, the distribution, getting the network established, and then it's just going to be a turnkey. They'll start to scale. They'll add a little bit more cannabinoids into it, and there you go. That's why legalization matters. And because of the run up into hype, and they're also going to be able to do white labeling to MSOs, like I mentioned. They're also likely going to mention their special purpose vehicle with an entry into California market. Again, it's not going to be hitting Hexo's top and bottom line. It's called an SPV, special purpose vehicle. So they'll partner with somebody in California. That'll get reported on the California company's top and bottom line. And then once federal legalization comes into effect, Hexo will retain about 80% of those assets and gain control over about 80% of those assets, which they've already said. So again, there's so much positivity that would come out of U.S. legalization. And VFF CEO also said that he believes that when the U.S. legalizes, it's going to be very similar to alcohol. He said that they're going to be able to grow and ship MJ across state lines. So Aurora said that as well. Hexo believes that as well. We know that Tilray has a deal with MedMen to get some of their convertible debt as well upon federal legalization. We know Canopy has a deal with Acreage. So again, LPs are soon going to be MSOs. That's what people don't understand. And that's why I'm happy that I have this platform so that I can help people understand, because we've been told all this, but again, our attention spans are very, very small, and that's not our fault. That's basically social media's fault, essentially, right? And it's if it's at a site, at a mind, right? Just go to my YouTube channel and just search Hexo, and just go on here and just search Hexo, and just look at all of my videos and the titles, right? And that'll start to jog your memory and be like, oh yeah, Hexo did tell us this was going to happen. It was delayed, right? They get all this slack, right? New partnership, Molson Coors Caliber, Tilray deal. I even did is Hexo going bankrupt video, and I gave all these options that were possible before expecting that, right? And yeah, you can just go back here. Products coming to the USA, that was 9 months ago. Kellogg's and Hexo, that was 6 months ago. And now they're saying it's more than granola bars and cookies. It's more than food products. Sebastian says they want to be the Coca-Cola of the MJ industry. Which CEO is paid more? This is funny, eh? St. Louis or Irwin Simon. And then here we are, now their partnership. It's kind of funny. Out and in. What else? I do all these product reviews, and you can usually sort it as well. So you can sort, maybe not when you search it, I guess. Oh, here you go. So just go here, search Hexo. No, you can't. But what you could do is refresh. I didn't share my screen, sorry. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Just go to the POW Group page, click on videos, and then it won't let you search and sort. So just sort by the oldest, and then look at all my Hexo videos. Like I did this first Hexo video on August 13th, 2020. And yeah, that's almost 2 years ago now, coming up on 2 years. And that's when I first bought Hexo for the first time, right? And again, Molson Coors partnered with Hexo in like 2018, and they didn't release, this was just a teaser, and they still hadn't released it 2 years later. And then it only really started to launch in 2021, right? So it took like 2 to 3 years after they partnered to get those products out. So we're right on that same time frame here with this new CPG partner. But yeah, just go look for all the Hexo videos, right? I even said that Hexo is a great buy. Everybody's saying that back then when they did a reverse split that they were going to zero, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you can go through all that stuff and just jog your memory, right? I mean, I've got over 600 and some videos now. But you can search by Hexo as well. If you just go here and type in Hexo, bring up all the Hexo videos. But you can also sort by oldest as well. When I spend $100 on sweet sticky buds, I buy the same amount of Hexo to go with it. Yeah. Well, Hexo is getting into the craft stuff, right? What happens with Budweiser and Molson and Coors Light? They didn't make the best beer, right? But again, let me show you. But what happens after they become number one and they sell the most beer and they make the most money, right? Then they get all this money that they don't know what to do with. They hit a market cap of 50 to 100 billion, if not more. And then you just go over here and you click on their brands, and then they just go and they buy every single person and company outright because they have the money to do so. Look at all these brands. You think it started with that? Hell no, right? But now Hexo's going to do the same. They went and acquired Redecan, the best company, in my opinion, in the whole market. We got Sol. ZOA is a new energy drink, so that's something that Molson Coors could introduce as well. Is MJ infused energy drink, right? That's all likely coming, right? So that's what happens after you become number one. Hexo's number one, and they're going to be number one, I think, for a very, very long time. Top three globally, in my opinion, and they'll just continue to ramp up through Zenibus. That was their major player. Where do you think the Ultra Sour comes from? Zenibus, right? Lemon Skittles is another one. I met a guy the other night at the Edmonton game, and I think it was Lemon Skittles or something like that. He was puffing. And Namaste, right? And then that's Zenibus brand, and that's where Ultra Sour came from. And it's just going to get better from here. Like, just wait, right? You have no idea what's coming. Again, people tend to not see past their own nose and just, try to see things from an unemotional standpoint, right? People just get fed up. They get investor fatigue. They get impatient, right? This, like Warren Buffett said, the stock market is a mechanism for transferring wealth from the impatient to the patient. And what do you see right now in MJ? A lot of impatient people, right? What am I doing? Mr. Patient. I'll just wait, right? I'll outpatient everybody else. Believe me, I will. I'll outlast anybody at this game. I'll tell you that right now. You look at my channel 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, I'll still be doing videos. Mark my words, right? Promise you that. Why does a Canadian stock have to rely on U.S. legalization to be profitable? Did you not just answer that? Yeah, you asked the same question twice. Well, I think I answered your question. And it's not to be profitable. Hexo's planning for the U.S. because the U.S. is the biggest market, right? So now they have, think about it. MSOs in the U.S. don't even have the U.S. covered yet. Like, they've only got a few states, right? Because they're focusing on the states that are recreational or medical. So once the rest of the U.S., they've got all these capital expenditures requirements that are going to incur, and it's going to hurt their bottom line. And then they're going to have to focus on the U.S. And while Hexo's already got the foundation built in Canada, they're number one in Canada. They have the foundation and the brands and the network and everything built in the U.S. Plus, they have Malta, EU GMP certified location, which gives them access to Germany and Malta, which we know are legalizing very soon. And then the rest of the EU because it's EU GMP certified. So they have the whole foundation built on a global level, not just a few states like the MSOs have, right? And once U.S. legalizes, there's more people in California than in Canada. How do you not understand that the U.S. is very important, right? Hopefully that hits it home. Maybe you tell me, why do you think it's not important? If your question is, why is it important? Maybe you think that it isn't important, or maybe you're just unsure about both. And if that's the case, let me know why you're unsure, because that question is very vague. And I'm surprised you didn't know the answer to that, honestly. But it seems like you think it's the opposite. But if that is the case, maybe let me know why. But hopefully that helps, because it's very, very important. Anytime the States does anything, it's like 1,000 times bigger than the rest. Why do you think people from like Australia and the EU are following the US? It's because the US is the reserve currency. It's the most important market in the world, right? It's a global powerhouse in terms of GDP and gross domestic product and just consumerism and all that stuff. That's where it's at. Not just an MJ, any industry, unless it's like football, like soccer. Then you're probably looking at the EU or whatever, right? Bro, you are looking sharp. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you. It must have been that keto diet. Now, I've been trying to be a little bit more health conscious as well, and just been working out a lot more, and trying to not smoke as much either. Like trying to drink more edibles and beverages, things like that when it comes to MJ, and cut alcohol out for a little while as well. And it's you gotta listen to your body. And now I'm on. I was doing a high fat diet. Now I did that for a couple of months. Now I'm on a low fat diet, and kind of I was on vegan there for a little while too, and it's fine. I just like challenges, right? It's kind of cool to do the vegan, and it's kind of cool to do vegetarian, because at least with a vegetarian you can have eggs and all this other stuff, and it's just a mental thing too, right? It's like people are like, oh, I could never give up sugar, and it's like, well, that makes me want to give up sugar, right? It can't be that hard, right? I saw somebody say they gave up. One of my friends gave up sugar, and he had like a list this long of all the side effects, and was like migraines, mood swings, and I was like, I gave up sugar, and I didn't even really care. Like, I think it's all mind over matter, right? But I mean, maybe everybody's different. I don't know. I mean, sugar is a drug, so we'll see. Thank you though. 2,000 on Hexo if the deal work. Yep. Yeah, I'll probably look to add maybe double or triple that if it goes through. It's definitely gonna go through. I think. I won't hold you responsible. Should I buy more tonight? Well, the market's closed unless you play after hours. But yeah, like I said, I can't tell you to buy, sell, or hold. What I'm doing is if we get to 20 cents USD, I'll add again. And then if we don't get to 20 cents USD and the Tilray deal gets approved, which I think it will, I'll look to add 5 to 10% of my portfolio. I'm not going to say anything else beyond that, right? I'm buying, right? Those are the two things that I'm looking for to add. I know all that. I went big into Zenobis. Yeah, exactly. So you know what it's like, right? It's not the first time people have been burned, right? U.S. players are sharks. Drink kombucha, brah. Yeah, for sure, Conrad. I'll have to pick up some True Booch. But yeah, no, that's something too that it's got so many health benefits too, right? Like they even have kombucha MJ beverages now, but I think you were the one who told me that they're not as beneficial from a health standpoint, but probably see more and more come down the pipeline. But yeah, that's a great point. Definitely need to add that to my diet. Canada has huge potential. Yep, and even Tilray said that, right? Tilray CEO Irwin Simon said that if the U.S. doesn't legalize, no worries. Like Canadian market's forecasted to grow to about $8 billion in not too long, right? In the next 5 to 10 years. So he said even just focusing on Canada will be very profitable, right? Very lucrative. But again, there's more people in California than all of Canada, so it's very lucrative. It's very important to at least have a plan, right? Whereas you get like Canara Biotech makes really, really great stuff, and then like Ogen makes really, really good craft, but they don't have the whole distribution. They don't even have Canada figured out yet, right? So it's kind of in those companies' best interest as well to see U.S. legalization get delayed as long as possible so that they can get nationwide distribution in Canada, get Canada under wrap, and then focus on the U.S., whereas they might be playing catch up to a lot of these, which is fine too, because they, again, like you said, Canada has lots of opportunity as well. And, again, I'm prepared for both scenarios. I'm okay with waiting if that's what we have to do. But yeah, you're right. Canada is a huge market. Reverse split. Yeah, we went over that earlier. So Hexo has until July 25th to regain compliance. They'll probably get a 180-day extension just like SNDL did, which pushes that out to January 25th to regain compliance. But they already have the approval for the reverse split to do up to a 14-to-1, a 1 for 14. So it doesn't mean they're going to do 14. It just means that they have up to that. They could be an 8, could be a 4. Who knows? It all really depends. If safe banking gets passed, which there was an article that I covered, I would encourage just go back, watch this live stream. This live stream is super important. So I know it's an hour long. You can do 2x speed, slow it down on parts where you want to, absorb the information a little bit more. But, if you're not willing to put in 30 minutes to an hour into your investments and your retirement, then, it is what it is, right? I put thousands and hundreds of thousands of hours into research, into due diligence, and understanding companies and markets and self-education, right? So as the saying goes, it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at anything. And I've easily got over 10,000 hours into Hexo, and then 10,000 hours into MJ, 10,000 hours into crypto, right? So if you're not willing to put in the time, then, again, I covered this reverse split notion many, many times. But yeah, it could happen. Just watch SNDL. If SNDL delists or reverse splits, that'll be your gauge, right? Because we know Hexo's like way behind SNDL. They're both going through the same problem. So just have the SNDL on your watch list. If you see a reverse split on there, that increases the odds that Hexo does one. Or if safe banking gets passed and SNDL goes back over $1 and regains compliance, well, then that likely is going to be the case for Hexo, right? So we have a benchmark and a gauge to be watching. Edibles are the future. Yeah, well, Hexo's partnering with Molson Coors Caliber in the edibles market, which I think is Kellogg's, and they are going to be manufacturing granola bars, cookies, and other food products as well, which I think is Kellogg's. And then we could see cereals and things like that, right? And keep in mind, they can do THC and CBD in Canada because it's federally legal, and then they can just focus on the hemp CBD market in the US, just like they're doing right now with Molson Coors through Trust CBD USA. And then once it's federally legal in the US, then they can just bring the same products in Canada to the US, right? So that's why it matters. Solid coverage. Thanks for the video. You're welcome, Larry. Thanks for the comments and the support and the feedback. Really appreciate it. Thanks for joining the live stream. For Hexo specifically, do you think they should be switching focus from flower production and pre-rolls to 2.0 products? Hell no. Nope. Not at all. Nope. They're focusing more on the flower and pre-rolls, actually, because those are the number one categories, and they can't meet demand as it is. So they're looking at increasing their demand or their output capacity by 2 to 3x to meet that demand, right? And they sold out of their Readies Plus product in days. And that was just in Ontario. They don't even have it in the rest of Canada yet. So that tells me that demand, and the Readies are sold out all the time here in Alberta. They don't, that'd be a mistake in my opinion. They need to do both. They need to juggle it, and edibles aren't even in Quebec yet, right? There's only one product in edibles in Quebec, and then we need to, and Quebec doesn't even have vapes yet, right? So those are 2.0 technically. So there's still a lot of growth there. And yeah, you can't forget about edibles because like you said, Rohit said, and I agree with it, edibles are going to be the future, right? The future of cannabis is in those who don't already consume it. And then it's those types of products that are going to start to lure in those types of people, right? And really start to tap into that potential. And those are going to also be the types of products that take away from the black market, right? Because you're not going to see the black market come out with like Frosted Flakes or some crazy beverage, and if they did, it would be gross. Like even in the U.S., I got like some sodas from Keef Brands. They were awful. Like even the can sucked. I did a review on it. You can check it out. But I ended up giving them away like to a homeless person actually because I was going into the game. I was going to see the Colorado Avalanche. It was like a last minute decision, and here I am with all these gross drinks, and I just like gave them away. I was like, I don't even want these, and I did some reviews on Hexo's new Trust beverages with Molson Coors, their new cola, like cream soda, orange, root beer, cola. And those were all really good, like fantastic, right? Like really, really good. Like I don't like soda. I wouldn't drink it because it's too much sugar, and I don't drink pop anymore either. I cut it completely out of my diet, but I used to drink it like it was going out of style, right? But now I hate it. I just can't stand it. I mean, I drink one of them here and there or whatever. And I even see people doing the root beer float with the new XMG root beer. Oh man, that looked good. I was like, I'd try me one of those babies, but because they got the vanilla ice cream in with those. Just look it up. It's freaking fantastic. But no, I don't think they should do that at all. I think edibles are still a long way to go. And the number 2 categories in terms of sales are flower and then pre-rolls. So, and if they can't meet the demand, they should focus on that first, or primarily, but not lose sight of edibles because that is going to be a huge market. Hopefully that helps. Why do you need THC in your breakfast cereal? It wouldn't be THC. It'd mostly be CBD. But THC could be in like, they said more than granola bars, more than cookies. So the cookies would be more like the THC and CBD. But cereals would more than likely be CBD. And then it could sell it in like Whole Foods, which is now owned by Amazon, which they have, I think, Manitoba Harvest and different CBD hemp in there as well. So yeah, it'd be available in like supermarkets and things like that. You can get, it's more, yeah, cereal will be more like CBD. It's more health, right? And we know that Kellogg's has kind of been struggling, and that would be the, that would kind of turn around their company as well, right? Getting into CBD. We know that they've already said multiple times that they're attending CBD conferences. Even their CEO tweeted out about it one time. And if you look at Hexo's LinkedIn and Kellogg's LinkedIn, they're always like, the connections are similar. And Kellogg's used to be across the road from Hexo in Belleville, right? Just check out all my videos, right? Just go to, like I said, go to the POW group, search Hexo Kellogg's and all this stuff, right? I assume you just found my channel like in the last couple of days, because I've been covering this for like over 2 years or almost 2 years. So I assume you just found the channel, which is fine, right? But yeah, no, this isn't new. Everybody here can vouch for it. All the OGs on the channel. Hexo has extensions for compliance. What's your opinion on their upcoming ER? My bad if this was talked about already. Yeah, it has been. Forecast is 52 million net. I think that we had 33 million gross for April, and then we know that we still need to factor in February and March. I think we're going to come in somewhere around the 55 million net area, and the forecast is 52 million. Not worried about this ER though, because why? The whole sector is still in weekly and monthly downtrends. I really don't care about anybody's ERs, right? Even the MSOs are having, they're topping out sequentially, but quarter over quarter, they're seeing a little bit of stagnation there. But in terms of year over year, they're still seeing tons of growth. But again, fundamentals don't matter right now. If you're in a bear market in a nascent industry, it doesn't matter how strong your fundamentals are. That's the reason why TrueLeave and GTII are down 80% from their February 2021 highs, is because fundamentals don't matter yet. Everything moves in tandem, just like everything in crypto follows Bitcoin, right? And just like, tech stocks in the early days all had the same bull and bear market cycle, right? Whereas now, Netflix dropped 82% in 6 months, and Apple was holding its own, right? So once you get so mature, and once the market cap becomes trillions and multi-trillions, then you start to break away from this moving in tandem, and the whole market, the whole sector moves together, right? I mean, tech sector does move to a certain degree together, but there's more there's more companies that break away from the pack, kind of thing, as the market cap gets higher, right? But yeah, even if they completely destroy and they beat on earnings, if the rest of the sector is going down and SPY's going down, it's not going to matter. It's just going to be a pump and fade, right? So we need to see safe banking. We need to see all of our MJs, not just MJ in Canada, but in the US. We need to see retailers and ETFs confirm weekly and monthly uptrends. And then I'll be more worried about like fundamental aspects like earnings and stuff like that, right? And we know that the next few earnings are going to be way, way drastically different, right? Because we're going to have 13 new drinks from Trust. We're going to have the Reddy's Plus. We have the new Reddy's Hexo branded with Ultra Sour and Gelato, which aren't even available anywhere else other than Ontario at the moment. You can't even get the Reddy's in Quebec yet because they look too much like cigarettes and like regulatory things. So there's so much growth yet to even be had. But again, people are very, very focused on the now and the present, but markets are forward looking. And if we're in a brutal bear market, it's not really going to matter. For me, I'm waiting for the Tilray. I'm more focused on the Tilray deal. I need to see that approve. And then, like I said, one of two things happens. If we get to 20 cents, I'll add USD. Or if the Tilray deal gets approved, when it gets approved, I think it has like a 95%, if not chance higher, of getting approved. Then I'll look to add about 5 to 10% of what I currently own on top of my Hexo shares. So one of those two things happens, I'll add. But hopefully that answers your question there, Bill. The Bedfellows Raspberry in my favorite beverage I've tried. Yeah, that one. Actually, did I try it? No, I haven't tried it's like a raspberry sour, right? I want to try that one. But yeah, thanks for letting us know. That one looks really good. I tried the Doppel Radder. That one was really good. All the Bedfellows, though, are fantastic. Like, amazing. The Hossmates is really good. Indie Pals, if you like an IPA. Hossmates is more of like a... what would be like a lager, or no, Indie Pals is like an IPA, and then Hossmates would be more of like a, I guess more of like a lager or something like that. But yeah, all the bedfellows are stellar. Where's the research on CBD? I'm not sure what you mean. Like, there's a lot of research on CBD, but do you like mean Hexo specifically? Do you mean industry specific? Maybe if you could specify that. THC is king. How's the vote? How to vote? I went over that in the first of the stream, but I'll just show you here real quickly. You should have gotten one of these in the mail. If not, check your broker online. You might have your preferences set to not receive mail, but you get a QR code. I redacted it here. This is the one that an example of the one I received. I received 3 different proxies here and voting instruction forms because I have 3 different accounts with Hexo in it. You just scan the QR code. It takes like less than a minute for each control number, each account. Like 30 seconds, you scan the QR code, go to a website, you just click forward, done. Even brings up like all your information. It tells you what, like if you're with Questrade or whatever, right? But that's how you vote. And if you want to see more information, I would encourage you to go back. I would encourage everybody to, if you're late to the stream, this is a very important live stream. I'm going to wrap it up here as we're over an hour. And that's the problem with these live streams too, right? In these videos, then they get over like 30 minutes. People are like, oh, I don't have the time. It's like, you don't have the time for your retirement and your future and your family's future? How many hours does it take to become an expert at something? 10,000 hours and you don't have 30 minutes? 2x speed, 15 minutes? You can either think of excuses or you can work towards results. You can't have both. So an individual stock can't break away from the sector. No, not really. No, if it can, but it won't sustain it. Just look at all, like, just you could bring up any MJ stock. They all look the same, right? Look, brutal monthly slide, 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 right? Why is that all why is it all like that? Because the sector moves in tandem, right? Look at MSOS, the ETF. That is the grossest chart I've ever seen in my life, right? Low to high there in February 2021, and an MSOS, which tracks all the major companies in the US, is down over 75%. Okay, now we bring up the Canadian ETF. What does that look like? The same, right? That's why. But once we enter a maturation in the sector, then we'll start to see some break away from the pack. It doesn't mean that they can't break away from the pack. And it did happen, right? MSOS and all these, like TrueLeaf didn't break down until a lot later after the LPs. But it doesn't go down to the day, the second, the minute, it's the overall trend is down. So it took longer for MSOs to drop, but the overall, again, it's not down to the day, the second, the minute, but it took, ultimately we got to the same outcome, right? Which was a brutal slide. So yeah, I mean, there's anomalies, there's outliers, but like Chainlink in the crypto space was on a major tear in a bear market when the rest of the crypto space was going down, but that's just not common, right? But then Chainlink ended up following the rest of the sector and coming back down, right? Wow, 38 people on the live stream. Yeah, there was a lot more than that at one point, but yeah, after an hour, you can see the amount of interest just in Hexo, right? Like, again, go to my videos, like, just take a minute and just, like, again, trying products, going through this, seeing what the products are like, the quality is like, looking at the amount of views on the videos. Like, if I do a TrueLeaf video, it doesn't get that many views. Like, and if I asked somebody who's like in love with TrueLeaf, they probably haven't tried TrueLeaf's products. They probably couldn't tell me one brand that TrueLeaf has. All they could tell me is that their fundamentals are strong and they make money, right? But can you imagine Warren Buffett investing in a company like McDonald's and not trying their products? Wouldn't happen. Would not happen. And he would know he would know the price of those products. He would know every single brand. He would know everything inside and out, right? Not just the fundamentals. And right now in MJ, fundamentals are like the least thing that matters, right? Like numbers and profitability, that's going to matter soon. But again, Canadian companies are planning for the US as well. The US is just planning on the US, and they're not even focused on all of the US yet. They're just looking at individual states that are legal, either medical or recreational, and then they still get to expand to the rest of the US, whereas Canadian LPs have Canadian under wrap, and they've got US under wrap pretty much. and the international markets, right? So they've got a huge advantage from a foundational standpoint. Hexo breaking away. Never think with the crowd. Yeah, it's true. I'm a very contrarian. Like when everybody says that, oh, U.S. legalization is going to happen, safe banking's not going to happen. Well, out of nowhere, now it has like an 80% chance of passing this year, right? And again, when 90%, retail is mostly always wrong. So if you just ask, go look at like what 100 retail people are saying on forums and message boards and things like that, YouTube. And if the consensus is everybody thinks that MJ is going to get legalized or safe banking is going to happen for years, well, what do we know about 95% of retail? They're wrong most of the time. Most of them lose money. So when 95% of people think it's going to go a certain way, I don't automatically do the opposite, but I'm way more interested in the opposite, the contrarian view, than I am with the herd. Yeah, absolutely. The lack of viewers is the answer. I'm not sure what you mean. I think he meant 38 was a lot of viewers, but okay. Maybe you're talking about the videos. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. I think you're talking about the actual like videos or whatever when people like the view count on the videos. Yeah, okay. Yeah, definitely, right? And just you can go to my channel as well and search by most popular. So you just go to videos and search most popular, and you'll see well, a lot of crypto stuff. There's MJ, Hexo, some more crypto, Hexo, 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 Hexo. But I'm not just covering Hexo, right? Like let's go look. TrueLeaf. How many TrueLeaf videos have I done? Quite a few. How many Green Thumb videos have I done? Quite a few. But I go with most of what I do is what people want to see, right? Tilray. How many Tilray videos have I done? Quite a few. How many Canopy? You're starting to get the idea, right? Like I do a lot of videos, but it's just the amount of engagement that I get out of the Hexo videos is like bar none. And you'd be surprised at the amount of people that say, I'm from the US, can you ship me products? I want to try these Hexo beverages, like the ones with THC in them. I can't try them yet. I'm like, no, sorry, that's a federal offense. It's called criminal activity. I can't do that, right? And yeah, the amount of people that are from the US, I go onto my analytics in the back end, and there's like 50% of people that watch my Hexo videos are from the US, and they haven't even tried it. They're foaming at the mouth, can't wait to. How many other LPs do you know that people can't wait to try the products? I don't know of any, right? How many people in Canada can't wait to try the MSO products? I don't know of any, right? Like I said, most people who are like MSO gang and maximalists, I think LPs are garbage. They couldn't tell you one product that TrueLeaf has. They couldn't tell you one brand, like majority, right? You live the situation now. Yep. Relax. I'm not sure what you're getting at here. Going off on a tangent now. I'm only interested in Hexo. Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, I mean, it'd be naive to think that only Hexo is going to be the only one who wins. I think they're going to be one of the major winners, but I own more than Hexo. I own Tilray, I own some retailers, right? Picks and shovels, right? In the gold rush, it wasn't just, you know, it wasn't the people who went looking for the gold that made the most money. It was the people selling the picks and the shovels who made the most money, right? So you want to get some retailers there as well, in my opinion. Again, not telling you what to do. Buy, sell, hold. This isn't financial advice, entertainment purposes only. But I've got some ETFs as well. I've got MSOs in my portfolio, right? American companies. All right, going in it there. Thanks so much for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, everybody. If you could smash the like one more time on the way out, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. And tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future updates. Really looking forward to next week. It's going to be interesting. Encourage you to go vote. Again, don't delay. Do it today. And it only takes a couple minutes. So get it out of the way. Don't delay. Do it today. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, and we'll see you on the next video.